Hi friends, it's Deanna here today, and today we're sewing up the Deanna pattern. I am so excited. So this pattern has so many awesome options that we actually have two videos showing two of the different options, multiple options that are in this pattern. So I just sewed up another video where I made this one right here, which is a dress length with a scoop neck and a long sleeve with the shirring here at the sleeve. I love it so much. I'm so obsessed. On this video, we're going to sew up a peplum version with flutter sleeves and square neckline. So stick around, let's sew it together, then go back to the info link below, grab your pattern, and come back and sew it with me. Let's get started. Alright, so let's get started. I have my peplum skirt. I've got my flutter sleeve. I'm doing the lined version, and I will mention now that you will see a seam here at the shoulder area because I didn't have enough fabric to create it on the fold. So what I did is when I cut my fabric, I added a little extra seam allowance here at the end and cut two pieces mirrored, and then I sewed them here at the shoulders to have enough. So I'll have a little seam here at the top, but I think it will be okay. And then I've got my front, and I'm doing the square neck front, outer and liner, and the back outer and liner. I'm gonna start by grabbing my lining and outers and sewing them at the shoulders, right sides together. I am using double brush poly for this version, which is a very light double brush poly, and I did not have enough of my outer fabric to do the lining with it, so I went with a fabric that's lighter than this one, so that you can't see it through the fabric or anything like that. When you're choosing a lining fabric, you always want to make sure that you consider the colors, that it's not going to be see-through or you're not going to be able to see the lining underneath it. And also you want to account for the weight of the fabric. You want to have something that's similar in weight, like this is the same fabric type, so they should work great together. I love this print. It's going to be adorable. At the same time that I'm doing this, I'm going to go ahead and prep my flutter sleeves. I am doing the lined version. If you're doing unlined, what you want to do now is go ahead and hem the bottom of your sleeve if you're not going to line it. But since I'm going to line it, I'm going to match up a lining piece and an outer piece, right sides together. And I'm going to sew this raw edges over here, the top curved raw edge. I'm going to sew them together right there at the top with a stretch stitch. All right, so that my skirt, my peplum skirt is already prepped as well. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my peplum and sew the edges together, the front and back, right sides together. And then now my skirt will be prepped already. Well, and then I'll have to finish prepping it, I'll hem it too, but not right now. I'll hem it a little bit later. But what I'm saying is I like to prep everything at the same time. That's what I'm trying to say right now. If you want to add a pocket, or if you're doing the dress version, check out my other video. And the other video, I do the dress version with a pocket. So if you're looking for that, that's where you can find it. Also, if you want to do the long sleeve with the shirred sleeve, that other video has how to do the shirring. Here's my skirt, which I'm gonna put to the side. Here's my lining of my bodice. Here's my flutter sleeves and my outer. Okay, I'm gonna grab my flutter sleeves. I'm gonna turn them right side out. Now, if you want to, you can understitch here. And what you would do is you would move this seam allowance towards the to the lining, towards the lining, and top stitch it down. You can do that. I am not going to do that. I'm just gonna leave it. If you're gonna leave it, you may want to give it a little steam here so it's nice and flushed. All right, once that's been steamed, we're gonna go ahead and grab our flutter sleeve, and we're going to mark the center of it, which I already have it marked because, you know, I have to put that seam down the middle. And once the center is marked, we're gonna go to our sewing machine and put in a gathering stitch here at this other raw edge. So I'm gonna put in a gathering stitch here at the bottom because we're going to gather this sleeve to fit our arm side. That will be our next step. So if you have a flutter sleeve that's not lined, you would have hemmed this outer edge here and then move on to gathering here at the other end. So it's the same thing, except for obviously I sewed it together because I'm doing the lined version. All right, so once we've got that basting stitch on the flutter sleeve, we're gonna grab our bodice main and we're gonna measure about 1.5 inches from the edge and just mark it. And then we're gonna grab our flutter sleeve and we're gonna mark where the center is. That's gonna go right here in the center. And I'm gonna go ahead and pin that. And then I'm gonna grab the basting stitch and pull on it and gather my flutter sleeve to fit. It's gonna fit all the way to that mark that I made over here. All the way across. And what you can do is you can go ahead and baste that together first once you get it gathered. I'm just gonna wait and stitch it together without basting because I am quite old. But basting it really does help for the flutter not to move away when you're trying to sew that neckline. I mean, when you're trying to sew the sleeve here. I'm gonna do the same for both sides. Ooh, that's gonna be adorable. All right, now, as you can see, this is my square front. And it is recommended. So anyway, you would have already basted this on, but I didn't baste it. I just clipped it. So we'll sew those on later. But anyway, for the front neckline right here, it is recommended that you use some kind of interfacing here to help keep the stability of the neckline. So I cut out some interfacing and I'm going to attach it as per manufacturer instructions. I'm gonna go all the way across the front and then about 2 inches up the sides here. I'm gonna do this for the outer and for the liner. And I'm doing it to the wrong side of the fabric. And this helps with that square neck to keep it nice and stable, because sometimes the square neck tends to want to gape or, you know, just not look really nice. So this will help with that. All right, now for both the square and the regular neckline, we're gonna sew that neckline together here. But I'm gonna, obviously today we're working with the square neck, so I'm gonna show you those steps. We're gonna face the neckline right sides together with the liner and the outer, matching up this shoulder seams here. And the back should be nice and straight, so we just match those up. Now here for the front, it should fit perfectly, but we're gonna do a couple of extra steps here at the square neck because we want it to be nice and square. So what we're going to do is I'm going to grab a marker. This is a water soluble marker. And I'm gonna grab some pins. And what I wanna do is, obviously here in the front, make sure it's all nice and even here at the top of the neckline. And here at the corners, I'm gonna grab a pin and I'm gonna kind of go from that corner edge, go towards the outer edge like so, and do the same on the other side. Kind of point it out towards the exit. And it's not really the exit, it's the corner here. And then I'm going to mark my seam allowance. So I'm gonna kind of do like a little line where my seam allowance is to that corner point and then out to the inside. Because we're going to go in with a stretch stitch on my sewing machine and create this corner here so that way it's nice and square. if we just go with our serger and try to do it, then you won't have a nice square neckline. You might want to measure your seam allowance, but you know, I'm not, sometimes I don't measure everything, but we want to make sure that we measure because we want that to be nice and straight, like a nice sharp corner here. Okay, so then we can go to our sewing machine and sew, starting here about 2 inches off down to the point and turn over and sew here, and do the same for both sides. Now, another precaution that we like to take with a square neck is to use some clear elastic. So after I sew that on, you can sew the rest of it with a whatever stretch stitch you want to sew. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start here and go over and continue with my same stitch. I'm going to use a triple stitch. I'm going to start here and continue with a triple stitch all the way around the front and turn over. Then after I'm done with the triple stitch and do that, I'm going to go in with my serger and I'm going to sew the whole thing around with a serger. Okay, so to sew the front neck though, when I get to sew, I'm going to clip over. You know what, let me just do this first. So here in the front all the way down, and then I'll come back and show you what I'm talking about so you have a visual. All right, so for this stitch, I'm going to actually be using number 5, which is for my sewing machine is a triple stitch. You see there are like 3 little lines, space, 3 little lines, space, 3 little lines, space. Well, it's a really nice stretch stitch, which ends up looking like a straight stitch, but you can stretch the fabric. So that is what I'm going to be using to sew up the front of my neckline. All right, so as you can see right here, I've got look at how good that triple stitch looks. And obviously I can't really stretch it very much because I've got the, what do you call it? The facing, no, oh my goodness, y'all, remind me of the name. The interfacing, yes. I've got the interfacing on there, so obviously it's kind of stiff because of that, but that's a really nice stitch. Anyway, we're gonna grab the scissors and we're gonna trim here to the corner, close to where my stitches are, but don't cut the stitches. But we just wanna trim that corner. Okay, so now that I've got that trimmed corner there, I can go around, and when I'm sewing the neckline, I'm gonna start right here at this edge and start all the way around the edge. If you want to put in elastic there, it's, you know, you can put it around there as well, but I'm just going to do it here at the front of the neckline. So I'm going to go back in with my clear elastic, and I'm going to start here, and I'm going to go in with my serger, and I'm going to let my serger encase that clear elastic. I'm going to keep my elastic tight. I'm not going to pull on it. I'm just going to keep it taut. And as I'm serging, that clear elastic is going to attach to my neckline, to my neckline with the serger looping it in. And I'm gonna keep my serger stitch to the inside of the stitch I already created. And then I'm gonna start here from the edge, and maybe I will put clear elastic at my neckline, the rest of it. I'll start here at my edge and feed the elastic as I go. Again, I'm not pulling on it. I'm just allowing it to be encased in the serger, in the seam as I go around the whole neckline. All right, let's start with the front neckline. Again, I'm putting my elastic here, and I'm gonna lift up my foot and just kind of go in and let my needle clamp my elastic. So I pull it down over my elastic. And here we go. I'm stitching that elastic on. All right, and my elastic is trapped in there. All right, now we're gonna go around the whole neckline, and I'm gonna do the same thing with the elastic. Alrighty, My neckline is finished. Now remember, when you're sewing here at the corner, make sure that your stitch comes close enough to that seam right there. And now when we turned it right side out, we're gonna tuck in the liner into the outer. And we should have a really nice neckline. And then you can understitch the rest of your, you can steam it and understitch. Now, because I put elastic, I don't really want to give it a really hot steam. Just be a little steam. But look at that square neck. I think it's going to be super, super cute. I'm going to give it a steam in a little bit, but I want to be very careful because of, you know, the elastic. But oh my gosh, this is going to be adorable. Already it's looking so cute. So now what we're going to do is we're going to work on our sleeve, because we're going to do the burrito roll method. So I'm opening right side up. Here is my, where I pinned or basted. You should have basted these two together right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this like arm section here. Here's where the lining, wrong side of the lining, here's the outer. And we're gonna flip it out. So here is my, where my outer is. This is my arm side here, and here's the other side, my other sleeve. Here's where the roll comes in. We're rolling this side in, and the reason why we're rolling it is because we're going to fit it into here. And I don't know if I'm gonna regret having those clips in there. It might make it kind of difficult for this part, because what you're going to do is this is going to be sandwiched in here as I grab the other side. This is the other side of, this is the liner. It's going to come right over, and I'm going to sandwich that other side. This is the one arm. This is the front of the arm. Here is the back of the arm, and this is the other arm. I'm going to sandwich one of the arms in between the back and front of my one arm. So I'm grabbing this over, and I know it sounds kind of confusing, but I'm going to show you this one first, then I'll show you what it looks like when I undo it. If you can see right here, this is the lining piece, this is the outer piece. So that's what they are. The lining is here, the outer is here, and the other side is just rolled like a burrito in the middle. So I'm gonna grab this side and I'm gonna match it up and match up right sides together. So the right side of the lining is touching the right side of the bodice, but the wrong side of the flutter. And if you need a very close-up explanation of the burrito method, we do have a video here on our channel, so make sure you check it out. So I'm gonna match up the seam here first, the shoulder, okay? And then I'm gonna match up the bottom, the edge. This is the armpit edge. And then you won't have all these clips if you did baste together, but since I didn't baste together, I just kept it clipped. I'm gonna use these clips to close this up. I am using double brush poly, which is really like stretchy, so I can do this with ease. If you're using a fabric that's a little bit, doesn't have as much stretch, this might be a little bit of a tighter fit. For the flutter sleeve, we recommend that if you're lining it, you want to use fabric that's not super thick so that the lining can all be sewn together. Because if you use a fabric that's really thick and you've got a layer of outer, a layer of lining, then I've got the layer of the front, the layer of the back, that's a lot of layering that you have to sandwich together. So if you have thicker fabric, it would be easier to do a hemmed ruffle than to do a lined ruffle. But I love the lined look, so that's why I'm lining it. So now it is sandwiched here, it is burritoed. So now we're gonna go ahead and sew that whole arm side up right here, and then we'll do the other side. All right, so now what we're going to do, we're gonna slowly pull this through. And again, I have all these clips that are already encased in there, which if you basted, you won't have. But I did use double brush poly, which is a very pliable fabric. It's very, very stretchy, so it doesn't give me too much trouble. So now when I pull it all out, have this gorgeous gathered flouncy sleeve here. So pretty, look at that. And it's lined. You see that? Fully lined. So, so pretty. Oh, I love it. It's so cute. Now we're gonna do the same on the other side. My gosh, this top is gonna be adorable. I think I'm gonna have to wear this like every day. It is already looking so adorable. We're gonna do the same on the other side. The clip stayed. I can't believe it. All right, so I'm gonna show you again here. If you open it up, here's my side, and here is my outer. If you flip this over, my liner is here. You see that? Right? So I'm gonna grab the outer and I'm gonna flip it like this so that my liner is opened up. See, outer, liner is on that side. On this side, which is the other sleeve, I'm gonna start rolling that other sleeve in because I'm going to tuck it in here, rolling it in. Don't roll the liner in, just the other side. This is my lining piece, and this is all rolled in. So now this lining piece is gonna come around and latch onto this outer piece. So here's my seam here, match that up, come all the way across, match it right sides together here, and all the way around, just like we did the other one. I'm gonna sew that one up. Alrighty, now we just pull that area out and our bodice is basically completed. Oh, I'm so excited. Y'all, this is the cutest thing ever. You just have to pull out those basting stitches. Look at how cute this is going to be. I still have to give it a good steam here, the neckline, but that is looking adorable. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to grab our sides and we're going to match up right sides together, the outer and the liner. So if you grab them together, you can match up the right sides, match up here the middle, the center, back, the center, and go up down the front. I mean down the outer, and then down the liner. So liner with liner, outer with outer, and sew them right sides together. Then the same on the other side. While I'm doing this, I'm going to also grab my peplum skirt, and I'm gonna put in a gathering, a basting stitch at the top of the peplum skirt because we're going to gather it to fit our bodice and stitch it on. So what we can do is we can grab the peplum skirt, and here at the top, I've got my mark where the center is. I don't think I marked both of them, so I'm just gonna put this clip here. That's the center. I'm gonna put in a basting stitch here to gather it to fit my waist, and then at the bottom, I'm going to hem it. So I can go ahead and prep that now or do it later. It's up to you. I like to peplums. I like to try them on first before I hem them to see how long I want it to hit, if I want it to be shorter or if I want to leave it. And sometimes I even leave them raw. Comment below and let me know what you think about leaving a knit garment raw at the bottom. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and then put in the basting stitch and then we'll attach it and we'll be done. All right, once we turn it right side out, we're gonna match up the side seams and find the front and the back. And we wanna gather to fit the bodice. Now we go ahead and attach right sides together. Make sure when you're attaching the right side of the skirt to the right side of the bodice, but you're also attaching the liner and you're quartering where you mark those quarters and halves, you're attaching that right sides together at the correct points. Once it's all pinned together, we're gonna go ahead and sew that together. Then all we'll have to do is hem and we'll be done. All right, friends, we are finished with the Flutter square neck peplum version of this pattern. How cute did this turn out? I love it. I hope you love it just as much as I do. I think it's adorable, super cute for summer. So this pattern is just perfection for all the seasons, obviously. You could do long sleeve, short sleeve. There's even a sleeveless option that I didn't even do on here, where you would just do the burrito method without adding the sleeves. So cute, and that's gonna be my next one. But how adorable. I love it. I hope you love it as much as I do. Go grab the pattern in the link below. Come back and sew it up with me and let me know what you think. I hope you have a great rest of your day and subscribe if you haven't. I'll see you all next time. Bye.